Hello fellow gardeners, and welcome back to the Humus Heritage. I'm thrilled you're here today because we're diving deep into something that's going to completely revolutionize the way you think about your garden soil. If you've been following along on our journey to create thriving, resilient gardens through natural methods, then buckle up because what I'm about to share with you today might just be the most powerful technique we've explored yet. We're talking about unlocking the hidden superpowers of earthworms using something you've probably been pouring down your kitchen sink: fermented rice water. Yes, you heard that right. That cloudy, starchy water left over from rinsing your rice is actually garden gold waiting to transform your soil ecosystem. For years, gardeners have understood that earthworms are beneficial, calling them nature's little tillers and soil builders. But what if I told you that we've only been scratching the surface of what these incredible creatures can do? The truth is, most of us have been passively hoping earthworms will show up in our gardens, maybe adding some compost and crossing our fingers. But there's a profound difference between having a few earthworms meandering through your soil and creating an environment where they absolutely thrive, multiply exponentially, and work tirelessly to transform your garden into a nutrient-dense paradise. The secret lies not in the worms themselves, but in understanding what makes them tick and creating the ultimate earthworm habitat. That's where fermented rice water enters the picture, and trust me, once you see the results, you'll never look at your kitchen scraps the same way again. Let me take you on a microscopic journey to understand why fermented rice water is so incredibly powerful. When you rinse rice, you're washing away starches, carbohydrates, and trace amounts of essential nutrients like nitrogen, phosphorus, and potassium. In its fresh state, this rice water already contains beneficial compounds, but here's where the magic happens: fermentation. When you allow that cloudy water to sit at room temperature for about 48 to 72 hours, you're not just letting it go stale. You're creating an explosion of microbial life. During fermentation, beneficial bacteria like Bacillus velezensis and various Enterobacter species multiply exponentially, transforming that simple starchy water into a living, breathing probiotic powerhouse for your soil. The fermentation process is crucial, and honestly, this is where many gardeners go wrong. Fresh rice water simply doesn't have the same impact because it lacks the concentrated microbial populations that develop during fermentation. Think of it this way: fresh rice water is like raw ingredients, while fermented rice water is a fully cooked, nutrient-rich feast specifically designed for the soil food web. Those beneficial microbes produced during fermentation don't just sit idle. They become the foundation of an entire underground ecosystem that earthworms absolutely cannot resist. Now let's talk about what happens when you introduce this fermented elixir to your garden soil. Earthworms aren't randomly distributed throughout the earth. They're strategic creatures that migrate toward areas rich in food and microbial activity. When you apply diluted fermented rice water to your soil, you're essentially laying out an irresistible buffet that sends out chemical signals throughout the surrounding earth. The scent trail created by these fermenting microbes acts as a powerful attractant, and gardeners who've experimented with this technique report seeing earthworm populations increase dramatically in treated areas within just a few days to a couple of weeks. But here's what makes this truly remarkable. You're not just attracting more worms, you're creating conditions where they become hyperactive and reproduce more successfully. The abundant microbial food source means earthworms can feed constantly without expending excessive energy searching for nutrition. This leads to increased tunneling activity, which aerates your soil and creates channels for water infiltration and root growth. The worms produce more nutrient-rich castings, essentially earthworm compost, which is one of nature's most perfect plant fertilizers. These castings are loaded with beneficial microbes, plant-available nutrients, and compounds that actually help plants resist diseases and pests. It's a beautiful cycle. The fermented rice water feeds the microbes feed the worms process everything into premium castings, and your plants reap the extraordinary benefits. The transformation doesn't stop at increased earthworm activity. That's just the beginning of a cascading series of benefits that ripple through your entire garden ecosystem. As earthworm populations explode and their activity intensifies, you'll notice dramatic improvements in soil structure. Hard, compacted soil becomes crumbly and friable. Water retention improves significantly because the organic matter from worm castings acts like tiny sponges, holding moisture during dry periods while still maintaining proper drainage. The nutrient cycling in your garden accelerates exponentially because those beneficial bacteria we've been cultivating don't just feed worms. They also work to convert locked-up nutrients in your soil into forms that plant roots can readily absorb. Gardeners using this technique consistently report side-by-side comparisons that are nothing short of stunning. Plants growing in fermented rice water-treated soil develop more robust root systems, display deeper green foliage indicating optimal nitrogen uptake, and produce more abundant yields. The benefits extend beyond mere aesthetics or harvest weight. Plants grown in this enhanced soil ecosystem show improved resilience to environmental stresses, better disease resistance, and stronger overall vigor. This makes perfect sense when you understand that healthy soil creates healthy plants. And fermented rice water is essentially a catalyst that accelerates your entire soil's journey toward optimal biological health. Ready to put this into practice? Making fermented rice water is beautifully simple. Rinse 1 cup of uncooked rice. Brown rice is even better due to higher nutrient content, in 2 to 3 cups of non-chlorinated water. Save that cloudy water in a glass jar, cover it loosely to allow airflow, and let it sit at room temperature away from direct sunlight for 48 to 72 hours. You'll know it's ready when it develops a slightly sour or yeasty smell, indicating active fermentation rather than spoilage. Before application, always dilute your fermented rice water at a 1:4 ratio, 1 part fermented water to 4 parts plain water. This dilution step is absolutely critical because undiluted fermented rice water can be too acidic and potentially create problems rather than solutions. Apply this diluted mixture as a gentle soil drench around the base of your plants or directly onto bare garden soil every 1 to 2 weeks. You can also add it to your compost pile or worm bin where it acts as a microbial catalyst, dramatically accelerating decomposition. Start observing your garden closely. You might be amazed at how quickly you notice increased earthworm activity, improved soil texture, and more vigorous plant growth. Remember, moderation is key. If you notice excessive moisture or an overly sour smell, simply reduce application frequency and add some dry organic matter to balance things out. This isn't just another gardening tip, this is a fundamental shift in how we approach soil health. By harnessing the power of fermented rice water, you're working with nature's own systems, amplifying processes that have been occurring for millions of years. You're not adding synthetic chemicals or forcing your garden to perform, you're simply creating optimal conditions for the soil food web to flourish. If this technique resonates with you and you're excited to try it in your own garden, please hit that subscribe button and ring the notification bell so you never miss our future experiments and discoveries. Share this video with your fellow gardening friends. Let's create a movement of gardeners who understand that the real magic happens beneath the surface, in that rich, living soil teeming with earthworms and beneficial microbes. Drop a comment below sharing your own experiences with fermented rice water or asking any questions you might have. Together, we're building something special here at the Humus Heritage, a community dedicated to working with nature to create gardens that don't just survive, but truly thrive. Until next time, happy gardening, and may your soil always be alive with earthworm activity.